Finally, we'll be pros. This is us being pros, boys. There's a new internet trend going on these days. People have been tweeting it, skeeting it,
I mean, posting it,
Xing it.
I hate
whatever
this.
the fuck they're doing with it now. The question or the prompt is like, put up your perfect album when you were 16 years old, which is interesting because we were all 16 at different times.
It was 2004. I will tell you exactly which album it was, because it's actually one of my favorite albums of all time.
Is it Modest Mouse's Good News for People Who Love Bad News?
It's not. I do love that album.
That's the only good album from 2004.
Mine is
that's not
is a Real Boy by Say Anything. One of my favorite albums.
Very cool. I don't
very
think
nice.
I've heard that album. I've heard of Say Anything, but I don't think I've heard of that album.
It was their debut.
Nice. Mine, I guess it'd be 2005. You could make an argument that I was 16 for longer in 2006, but I was going to go 2005. I honestly tried to find a more hipster answer, but I really, it's Demon Days. It's just the Gorillaz Demon Days. I can't.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
I couldn't.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
I just looked at my options and like, yeah, it's just Demon Days. I can't do any better than that.
Yeah, I think you're both kind of full of shit. Because
what else is new?
At the time, well, it's 2001 for me, so it's very much more true. I think at this point in time, like CD burners had really become tangible for a lot of folks, and high speed internet.
Sure.
In 2000, like basically 99 to 2002, most by that point in time, rural communities, like people who were not next to big cities and shit, were able to get high-speed internet and CD burners. So everybody's just burning fucking mixes they downloaded from LimeWire and Napster. Like most people at the time where I was at were not listening to like full albums. They would buy them, of course. Like it wasn't like they weren't. But everybody just had fucking mixes that sounded like dog shit. And so I had just turned 16, had my license. I had a car with a very big sound system in it.
So Bobby's driving mix number 4 is
no. I would say though at the time I was very into hip hop. I was really into like 3 6 Mafia, Jay-Z, Dr. Dre. I was listening to a lot of that stuff at the time, but I don't think I had like a definitive album at that time. That really changed for me. Like when I was 13, I'd buy albums because I would get a CD, but that age of like early illegal music, I was all in. And I was I got a CD burner for 8th grade graduation, and I would burn all my friends' CDs. Like basically,
were you the kid that sold bootleg CDs?
I wouldn't sell it. I would just.
There were definitely some of those people at my high
school. Oh, 100%. I would said, hey, if you get me a stack of blank CDs for you, anytime you want something, I'll burn it for you. I don't care. Just get me the CDs and I'll make it for you. And that's what I did. So
I had a couple friends who did similar things where you go from like 50 cents candy shop to Free Fallin'
totally
song, and you're like, wow, what a tonal shift. But I guess I asked for that.
I guess like I was just trying to do like my own versions of like, now that's what I call music. So but yeah, honestly, like today I'll talk to you about albums, and I've gone back to that time period.
See, that's weird because I'm the opposite. Like as soon as I got an iPod, then it was like, well, fuck albums.
Well,
like,
I mean, especially like when the shuffle came out. Yeah.
There's no point to listening to full albums now. Now I just listen to the individual songs that I like. But when I was a kid, it was like, well, this is the CD. I have a CD player, so I'm going to listen to a CD.
If you ask me like, hey, what is Bobby today's favorite album from 2001? It would be either Amnesiac by Radiohead or This Is It by The Strokes. And like that was like, if I'm looking back at that time period now today, those were the albums. But at the time I was all about like rattling windows and having a bunch of people in my car.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
So you guys weren't doing like the whole mix thing at that time. That's strange.
Oh yeah.
I didn't have a computer that could do that, so I was getting it from friends. But yeah, like I said, I was kind of asking friends like, "Hey, I really like this song because I watched like MTV in the mornings before going to school. So I'd listen to some songs and have some songs that I really like, but I wasn't buying full CDs of those songs. So I would ask my good friend Austin, Can you put "Move, Bitch"? Uh,
Yes.
and then probably like whatever the latest Simple Plan song was.
Yeah.
It's like, can you put these two on the same CD for me,
please? A fair breakdown. Johnny, what were you saying?
I had an MP3 CD player, my Sony Discman, and so I was loading up like 128 song CDs.
That was such a switch, right? Like going from the just the standard burning CDs, yeah, we can fit like 11, 12, maybe 13 songs on here, to the MP3 ones. yeah, we're going 100 plus on these CDs. You'll never see what happens at like track 96. You'll just never make it there.
We started a game when I was, because I was a driver. I was always a little bit older than everybody, so I was a driver, and I used to have a massive like 4x4 or 1x4 whatever grid CD book, and we did this thing called round robin. So if we were on a longer trip, while a song was playing, the person clockwise to you had to like basically earmark the next CD to put in and say, hey, put this in track 5. But when the iPod came out, it was so much easier because you could do the like on cue, basically where you hold a song down and this puts it up next. Yeah. And we would like, okay, we get 10 passes. Let's pass it around and do that. And like, that was always something that was really, really fun.
Yeah. Just like a jukebox at that point.
Yep. Yeah. That's fun, man. That's a good little trend. I immediately, when you said 16, I'm like, there ain't no way I'm gonna have an album. It's gonna be a fucking shitty mix.
I just looked up album releases for that year, and I was like, oh yeah, that's what I was going off of. I mean, yeah, the things I was actually listening to were all had horrible names that I made for the mixes, like Tune Skis Volume 1 and 2.
And no, I had like 2, maybe 3 burn CDs that I was able to get, but for the most part, I was listening to actual albums at that point.
I still have a lot of my burnt CDs somewhere.
I got the book down in my basement.
Yep. I probably have all 3 of mine in the same CD booklet that all my other CDs booklets, or all my other CDs are with. Like it's probably right next to that Panic at the Disco and Fall Out Boy CD.
Would you believe me if I told you that there's nothing in my house right now that can play a DVD, CD, or Blu-ray?
Man, is that actually true?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do purge yourself of technology when you're done with it.
I have my Xbox One.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, for the longest time, my gaming consoles were my like straight up like DVD player, music player for those things. Like, and now I don't have anything with a disc drive at all.
I have an external disc drive to rip some stuff if I feel like I need to do that. But
isn't it weird? It's weird.
Yeah.
I've got boxes of DVDs and shit still. Blu-rays, like I've got like collector's edition Blu-rays.
Piracy is so easy these days. You don't need to rip discs anymore. It's all right there.
So it's just swiping my credit card and having everything. Like it's just like streaming's too simple.
Until the man decides to take it away.
Well, it's not as cheap as it used to be. They keep raising it.
Old Daddy Bezos says, no, you got to pay the troll toll now before you can.
I'm kidding.
You can watch. Lord of War? That's a movie, right?
Sure. Let's sounds like a name. Let's talk about some video games.
I'll introduce. Right. I'll introduce the show here, Johnny. We are the Casual Hour. It's episode 350. It's November 8. We're going to tell you about video games and why we like them. And
50 episodes. That's too fucking many.
It's a lot. It's very much a lot. And just for you both, we have only 2 more episodes before we start our Game Awards coverage. 4 episodes if you're being technical for our Game of the Year episodes. So we're getting down to it.
There's another podcast that does this, but just as like a funsy thing. This is not going to be an ongoing thing for us. Does anybody have any idea what Pokemon number 350 is?
No.
That would be from Black and White, probably, right?
I think that would be from Ruby Sapphire.
Maybe. Why don't you look it up? While Chase is doing that,
I'm gonna guess it's one of the legendaries from Ruby and Sapphire. I think they added 100.
So this is our episode 350, and you're gonna try and guess what Pokemon it is.
I'm gonna say it's Groudon. It's Groudon, Kyogre, or
all right,
Rayquaza.
Chase is pulling that up. We're going to talk about Roboquest tonight. We've got some updates on Spider-Man 2, Jasant, Alan Wake 2, Star Ocean, Second Story R, and a little update on Chase's Spin the Wheel pick. Back half of the episode, we're going to talk about news. There's a lot of it. We got to talk about Bungie, GTA, COD campaigns, Xbox controllers, the whole gambit. So we've got a big show to get through. Before Johnny tells us all about Roboquest, Chase, what was that Pokemon?
It says melodic, which I think is right. I'm trying to figure out if that's the national dex or not, but I think that's probably right. Yeah.
Well, while you research,
right.
okay.
So it's close. I was
not bad.
They added more than 100 in
not bad at all.
Not bad, but yeah, you know what? In the ballpark.
Johnny, what can you tell me about Roboquest?
It is fucking awesome.
It's so fucking good.
Fast, right?
It's yeah, not like painfully fast, but it's a mover and a shaker.
It is described as a movement shooter, which I think is accurate. It actually gives off some pretty strong like Doom 2016 Eternal vibes.
Yes.
Because you are constantly on the move, and
does it have incentives to be on the move like Doom 2016 does?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. So there are rails that you can grind on. There's places for you to like get elevated above enemies. You are incentivized to keep on the move, because if you don't, you're going to get swarmed by all these other robots, and this game is kind of tough. I don't know what your experience has been, Bobby, but it's pretty rough. I think I've only made it.
Have you fought bosses yet?
No.
Oh boy.
No, I have not.
What's the setup for this? Are these like Doom style levels? Is it more like a big linear progression thing?
So you have a hub world, right? Where you can upgrade weapons, you can add new perks, you can add new people to come to your base as you're collecting these wrenches as you're doing runs. So
right, this is a roguelike game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So like a Hades or any of those, you're going out during these runs, you're collecting permanent upgrades, and then also like things that you will spend during the run.
The permanent upgrades it's a skill tree, so you only progress the skill tree once you fill each row. And the first row is like 4 to 6 wrenches per token. The second row is like 12 to 13 per token.
So if it only progresses once you've unlocked everything,
mm-hmm.
So everybody's going to have more or less the same progression tree.
So it's different. That's the overall like persistent things that you have. Like for an example, when you start a run, you open a chest. At the beginning, there's 3 weapons in it. One of the first things you can unlock is
up to 4.
A 4 weapon. Yeah. So it's like that type of shit. Now per character, and Johnny will talk about it, it gets a little bit. Well, you've got multiple people unlocked, right?
No, I just have the first one.
I'll talk about that.
There's different classes, Chase.
Mm-hmm.
I just have the default class right now. You start with a pistol, and then you pick another weapon before you start your run. And then new weapons can either be dropped by enemies, or there might be a room, like a secret room that you can get into on the map that will give you like a higher tier of weapon, and they are color coded. They have levels themselves, and like you would expect in like a Borderlands or something, they also have like unique characteristics. So it might 25% of the time it might proc where you throw a grenade every 5 shots. I got a gun like that last night.
That's fucking cool.
Every 5 shots, my guy would just lob a grenade. And the variety of weapons is astounding. Like I was doing some runs just before we started the podcast, and I was just like,
Johnny had the runs, everybody.
Yeah.
The Robo runs coming out of Johnny right before the show.
I've had an hour and a half in this, and I'm still like, there's still new weapons that are showing up. There's heavy weapons, light weapons. You can dual wield. And there's grenades that you can pick up.
Can I throw something in on that really quick?
Yes.
So there's, to his point, like your characters have their own unique ability. So when you level up, like in a Vampire Survivor, it's going to give you like a few options to pick from when it's time for that in the run. one of those might be, okay, hey, when the first class you get, you drop this little robot that heals you while it's doing it, but then you can add more abilities to that. Another one might be you get a 10% increase on your crit rate. But to Johnny's point, if you are dual wielding, there might be one that's like, hey, you can either get 10% extra damage to flying enemies or 10% extra damage for dual wielding. And there's things that you can like pick and choose when you're on your run that way. There's also, when Johnny was talking about the character classes, so when you switch between them, they all have like perks that you found or unlocked for them. And there's unique ones to the class of those characters. And it'll let you see when you're going into them, like, hey, I've got these that I can basically run into with it.
What are the other classes?
So I've got
very curious about that.
I've got 3 so far. Yeah. So the one you start out with is pretty default, as I mentioned. It drops like a little healing drone. The second one is a ranger, and it's got a unique ability in the fact that your melee is no longer a melee, but they have 2 javelins that will recharge, and they fucking chuck these javelins, and it will like go through in as many enemies as you have and hit them. So that's their melee, and then their ability is they can go invisible with a 25% increase in movement, and they put up a dummy of themselves. So like they keep shooting, and you just run behind everybody invisibly. The other one is the big beefy tank boy. His melee is just a straight up mini shotgun, and he has this awesome ability that it's kind of like a frenzy mode. As you're killing enemies, the frenzy's going up, and if you press it's Q on the keyboard, the ability button, he'll just shoot out of his arm, like Cyberpunk style, a big fucking homing missile, and he has higher health as well. But they've got like similar, it reminds me of Risk of Rain on how you unlock the classes, because you might find a hidden room I found it behind a waterfall. The other one is performing a certain, it's really fucking cool how they're doing those things. But the classes are fun, and they do change up enough of the ability stuff to where I think, like right now, I've been liking, I don't know about you, Johnny, I really like scoped guns or carbine rifles. And I think playing as the Ranger has really been awesome for me to do that.
Yeah. I think my favorite gun I've gotten so far shot mines.
Yes, then you had the trigger.
And I could detonate afterwards.
I like that.
That was so fun. I was so sad when that run ended.
So Johnny fucked up and he spent $1.61 in this game when you could have spent
a year ago
nothing because it's also on PC Game Pass.
Well,
right?
It is. Yeah. It's
you got screwed, Johnny.
You
spent too much.
This is like a small studio, so like
22 people make it.
Yeah, I kind of want to like gift a copy to somebody because I got it so cheap last year. But yes, it is on Game Pass.
20% off right now on Steam, so it is $20 if you want to go and actually own it. But it is on PC Game Pass as well.
This
only
is
on Xbox platforms.
I'm curious to see what it looks like when you do multiplayer. And the only thing I've seen people, I know it's only up to 2 people, which it makes sense because these aren't very. This is a question I like that Chase always brings up when we talk about stuff like this. It's about scale, and it's not fighting in tight spaces, but it's small. Like these are tight little spots for sure.
It's almost like miniature arenas with corridors between each arena.
Okay.
And it feels like they're procedurally generated.
They are. With there's always going to be a door. So like in between areas, you're going to have the companion lady that you're hanging out with, but there's always another chest to get new weapons. You can get your health refilled, and as you unlock more things, there'll be random people that she invites to these safe havens.
Other NPCs. There was like a blacksmith that I
chef.
bought a weapon off of. Using power cells, which is an item that you pick up during the run.
Those do not stay with you, so you spend them while you got them.
So yeah, you got to use those while you have them. And there are keys so at the end of the stage, the first stage, there are 3 doors I think that you can go through. And at first there's only 1, but then on other runs you can find keys basically to unlock. Like there's like this is the rune door.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it was actually a key. It was some other item.
Did you go through the ruin door yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yep. There's still one other door that I haven't found the key or whatever for.
Dude, this is one of the biggest, like, caught me off guard games this year.
Yeah, this is not on my radar. I forgot I even owned it.
Yeah. It's cool.
But it's been such a blast to open up and just fiddle around with. And I can't recommend it enough. It's so fun.
Sounds rad. We should do like a 3-man quick look for that one.
That would be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
I know you can only play 2. I'll just watch, but I would love to watch you 2.
Yeah, would love to do that.
And all of us talk about it on a quick look.
And the music, I think, is pretty good too.
The style, all of it all looks great.
It all looks very, very good.
Johnny, that was Roboquest. That is out now. Was in early access, as Chase called out. It's on PC Game Pass. I think it's on PlayStation also, and I believe it has crossplay.
I did not see it on PlayStation.
Okay, maybe it doesn't then.
I think
is it
it's
just PC,
on
Xbox
platforms and PC? It is on Steam and Epic though.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're actually going to stream that Friday night. So if you're watching live, come back on Friday. We're going to stream that one, and if you're listening to this, you can go back. If you're listening to it as we launched it, come back tonight. I've got a lot to talk about. I'm going to be as brief as I can, y'all. I got credits on 3 games. We've talked a lot about 2 of them. I don't think we've talked much about 1, but we got a quick look going up tomorrow, so I'll let that do the talking here. But I beat Spider-Man 2. I've beaten Alan Wake 2, and I've beaten Jusant.
Nice.
And holy shit, man. Like Alan Wake 2 blew me away. Like that game is just telling stories in a way I've never seen done in the game. And Jusant is the first Don't Nod game that I've played and completed. And so therefore it's my favorite Don't Nod game. But that game was incredibly beautiful, very touching, and a perfect weekender. Like that's a 3 to 4 hour game for you. And it is beautiful, just absolutely beautiful, narratively, visually. It's an incredible experience.
Yeah, I was super sold on it, seeing it in action, both from mechanics and aesthetics, and thought, okay, that's gonna go on, that backlog of I need to fit in a handful of games before Game of the Year. And then as we were doing the quick look, I think you mentioned like, oh yeah, it's like 4 hours. And I went, oh, well, no, that's just going to move it right up, and I'll just play that now.
Yep.
I haven't played it now, but I plan to play it much sooner than I thought I was going to play it.
I think that this is a Chase game, in my opinion. I think it's one that you will really like, the stories that they're telling, how they're telling the story in it. And you can kind of predict where it's going to go, but it still executes that very well.
Yeah, it seems like it's a little bit more mechanically dense than something like a Journey or an Abzu, but it's still in that realm of you're on a journey. You're going from one place to another place, and just by like, it's a game about climbing. You're trying to climb to the top. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And we did mention another thing we mentioned in the quick look was the Ubisoft ones, the grow home and grow up.
Yeah.
And
there's another climbing game coming out too, but it's not anything like this mechanically.
It's made by the Bennett Foddy one.
No, it's like 2 people. I thought
that one's very good.
Anyway, so I beat those games. Certainly going to be talking about them again in a few weeks, but I did something dumb, but it's turned out to be a lot better than I expected. I've
been doing something dumb for 350 episodes.
Yes, I got the new MetaQuest 3, and
well, not that dumb, I guess.
Not that dumb. I had a PSVR 1, and then I got the Quest 2, and I liked everything on paper for VR, but it just never felt like it could be as easy as what I got going on here, or maybe as enjoyable long term.
Yeah, it's a fun gimmicky thing. Like,
yep,
it's,
a novelty.
It's really cool. Yes, novelty. Like there was what was it? New Year's Eve that one year where I came over to your place and you had me play Astrobot and you had me play Beat Saber,
Super Hot,
and you had me play Super Hot, and I was like, okay, Super Hot's great because it's fucking super hot. And these other ones are good too. Like Tetris Effect was in there as well. But outside of just remembering that Super Hot rules, it's like VR is not stuck with me in a way of like, oh man, maybe I need that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it feels like, I mean, I know they're still making VR games, but it kind of feels like VR is just receded to the background, whereas it used to be like this big hot button topic in gaming.
So I this new one has made it a lot easier. I've got a little charging dock for it, and that's been a big game changer, but it's so much smaller than anything else I've had, which this is great from it being like lightweight.
Was that form factor the reason that you wanted to get it, or was there a specific game?
I saw more mixed reality than virtual reality, because this one has like full color environmental pass through, and it also does a room scan. So like when I'm in here, it like looks like there's polygons that go all over the space. It knows all these like cracks and places and movement, and you can basically specify, oh, that's a piece of art, and there's like apps you can throw in to where art would be on your wall to see shit, which is cool. But I got it kind of because I thought that was a neat idea. I've actually hooked it up to here because I've got 2 monitors, but they've got an app called Immerse that lets you watch multiple monitors. Basically, it hooks up to your computer, and I can just have virtual screens to work off of. The other thing that I've done, Chase, this is the most meta thing. I told you I was going to do something. I watched all of Edge Runners in VR.
That's ridiculous, but kind of on brand.
And
for what that is.
I fully support this. Bobby finished an anime.
That's true. That's the most amazing thing.
Y'all didn't tell me that thing was wow. Made me.
Yeah, we did.
Y'all didn't tell me that I was going to have my heart broken.
Well, I'm very excited for the other anime that you said you might want to watch, especially if you watch it in VR.
I'm going to watch it in VR
because I don't think there's anything more hardcore than watching Ghost in the Shell in VR.
Yeah, so I plan on doing it.
Rad, so go for it.
But I've been playing a few things on it that I think are really cool. I finally went back to Tetris Effect. I only played like 2 episodes of that when it was on PSVR. I've beaten that. Had a fucking blast. That game rules. Power Wash.
Does that game rule, or does that game rule in VR?
It rules in VR. Like I don't think that like playing this on a. It's fine.
No, I played it on a PlayStation and had a wonderful time playing it, but I guess I was more asking, like, do you feel like VR enhanced that game?
Oh, 100%, dude.
Yeah,
like
I
Tetris Effect, but
feel like I played it in VR at some point, and it is
because it's just like the Tetris board in front of you. It's not like
but everything.
It's not like there's reason
everything's
for you to
flying.
There is. Like there's shit that comes around you. Everything that you see, like when you have one of those levels.
Does it affect the game, or is it just like the?
It's like
thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a sensory thing. So I would say it does affect the game because you're playing it in an environment that feels more immersive at that point in time.
But it's not like an Astrobot where you have to look over here to see the thing that you need.
No, not like that. No.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool thing to unwind with in that because you don't have to do anything. You just sit with the controller. Sure. I've been playing Power Wash. They ported that just last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago.
That sounds like a perfect game.
Yeah,
dude. I gotta tell you, my new favorite thing is to put on a podcast,
stand in your office in your sweatpants, and
stand in here and listen to a podcast while just literally power washing. And you can like reach down and twist the belt and grab a different nozzle if you want to. I'm climbing the ladder, cleaning shit. Sarah's like, what are you doing? I'm like, power washing. She's like,
you could actually be power washing and listening to a podcast. And you're like,
I know,
but not
I could,
this.
Chase, but this is my Roman Empire. And lastly,
like you sent us a text message that you found like the cheat code, which is just you're tall.
Yes, it's so good.
so you're able to like clean the top of the van, no problem, because you can just see it.
I can see all of it, and I can just reach over and spray it. It's so fucking good. I'm in here just fucking Richard Simmons the whole fucking time. It's great. Last thing I want to talk about. This is one that I think Chase would like. It is called First Encounter. It is a mixed reality game. You scan your room, you're looking at your room, and all of a sudden you might see on the wall over here debris dripping from your wall. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, I got kind of nervous.
That sounds like a thing I would hate already, but okay.
And then all of a sudden, through your ceiling, this little fucking spaceship drops down, and more things start happening on your walls, and it's all these little furry aliens. And they're coming into your room, and you have 2 guns to shoot them with. And here's where it gets really fucking awesome. It is a match 3. So they're different colored, and if you get 3 of them, they start to stack up. Well, I mean, as you shoot them, they stack on top of your spaceship. But if you get the same color, it's just like Puyo Puyo at that point in time. So it's Puyo Puyo and a virtual reality shooter or a mixed reality shooter. It's really fucking awesome. So anyway, last thing, they've got a service that's like $5 a month. I'm going to test for a 30-day trial. It's basically PlayStation Plus, but it gets you 2 games a month for it. And these are like $40 VR games on the Quest store. I'm having a really, I've been using it every day, and I'm just having a great time with it.
This is the most positive I have, like, considering you've owned 3 different headsets now. Like, this is the highest I think you've ever been.
I mean, this is I wear glasses. I actually got the lenses to pop into it now for my prescription. So I've got my prescription glasses in it, which are awesome. So if you guys come over, they just pop in and out. So if you wanted to use, I just pop them out, put them in this, and good to go.
Nice.
So anyway,
I'm happy to come over and do one more.
Well, if I mean, I can. I can bring it to you guys too. Like if I come over to your house, I'll just bring it with me. Like
that's true. You can scan and have shit come out of my walls.
Yes. I beat Spider-Man, Jusant, Alan Wake 2, playing a lot of VR. That's what I'm up to.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm playing a new old video game and a not so old video game, but a new to me video game.
It's new to me, damn it.
That's true. Star Ocean Second Story R is the sequel to Star Ocean. We talked about it on our monthly preview last week. Game seems pretty good. I'm still really early. I only have 2 party members.
What does it play like?
It plays like a lot of Star Ocean First Departure R.
If I've never played a Star Ocean game, can you say like, hey, it plays like this?
It's an action RPG. So you are in some ways it's just a JRPG where you're walking around a world. It has like an overworld map, and you go into towns, and now you're in the town area. There are dungeons and caves and things like that. And then, but once you get into combat, it kind of has the it's not Chrono Trigger exactly, but like where you see enemies on the map, and if you run into them, then you go into a battle. So it's not not Pokemon random style battles, but it is, hey, you see something on the map, and then you don't know what you're fighting until you get into the fight, but then you're in a fight. Then it becomes an action RPG where you have skills and you have general attacks, and you can use those, and you're controlling one character at a time, and your other party members are automated in some way, and you can kind of give them some tactics of, hey, go all out, use your MP and magic and do whatever, or hey, hold back and heal me, or don't use or attack but don't use any magic to do it, and make sure you save your stuff because we're in a dungeon and I want it saved for the boss. You can also switch between characters, so you can go, oh, well, I want to directly control you instead and have the other person.
How many can you have out at a time?
I don't know. I only have 2 right now. I haven't gotten far enough to see any more. I've only put a couple of hours into it.
Well, I got you. Can I ask you another question?
Please go for it.
So with games like this that I have found, being turn-based, you can usually do like an all-out attack or a combo attack. Does that translate into an action RPG where you might see like two of your characters synergizing any sort of attacks if you're doing it that way?
So I don't know if they're combo moves in the way that I think like Final Fantasy 15 had
they had those. Like he would like teleport over somebody who was doing shit.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything like that exactly.
Okay.
But you do get a bunch of skills that you can keep putting things into. So like I've got one guy who is more like he has a sword. He runs up on you and he hits.
Are they class based?
It feels like they have like set classes that they're going to be. Yeah. Like they have set. My guy can equip swords. The girl who's on my team has does she have staves, or I can't remember exactly what she has, but she uses a different type of weapon than I do, and we can't share equipment.
Got it.
We can share, armor and stuff like that. Some armor, but some armor, my guy, he's bigger, so he can have like the big armor, and she has the lesser leather armor that he could also wear. But
nice. You're playing on
But
Switch, you said, right?
these. Do what? Yeah, I'm
Switch,
playing this
Switch.
on Switch. I
Okay.
think it is available on other platforms as
It
well.
is. It is for sure. Yeah.
It is on Steam.
But it does have these skills, and I believe the first game had this as well. But you're putting points into skills, and then that can modify the way that your combat works. So one of the things that my guy has that I've been putting a lot of points into, he can just get this dash where sometimes as I'm just smashing the A button to keep doing the attacks, he will just like teleport like a
Oh,
Kuma
cool.
style, where he'll just teleport directly to that person and then start attacking them instead of having to walk
What-
over to that guy to hit him. So
Well-
sometimes you can get these big instant attacks that do some crazy damage.
There was a game that we played, kind of a VHS 8-bit inspired, similar to a Hotline Miami, but it was 2D. And
Oh yeah,
you don't. Yes.
Yeah.
And there was a dash ability that sounds very similar to what you're talking about that I thought was really fucking cool there.
Yeah, I would say it's not so. It's not so mechanically difficult here. Like it is, you are just kind of smashing on the button and letting it go. And okay, I can use the triggers or the bumpers to do my abilities, but for the most part, I'm just kind of smashing the A button while I'm attacking dudes, and then my healer mage person is throwing giant boulders.
Oh god,
that sounds cool.
Yeah, that sounds really
she's
cool.
Pretty cool. She's pretty cool. So aesthetically, though, I think is where this game really shines. Like the mechanics, I'm having a fun time with, but I just think this game is gorgeous. It is this really nice kind of HD pixel art, but it's on this like really high res polygonal backgrounds. So it just has a.
You told me on Monday when we were streaming, you said that this has like maybe the best execution of the 2D HD you've seen.
So I don't think it's HD 2D.
Okay.
Because those are kind of all pixel based. When you go to something like Octopath Traveler, everything's
with like
made
the
of
tilt
pixels.
shifting on it and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this has some tilt shifting stuff to it, but it's different in a way because these are just like really nice looking sprites, but they are on more realistic looking backgrounds, 3D backgrounds. And
I don't think I've seen a game in quite this style yet. It's always been like how Octopath is.
I know there are some other games that do this. I'm drawing.
I'm gonna pull up the trailer. I think I can actually flip over to it for anybody watching. Let me.
Sure.
It's really striking.
Yeah, I think it's got a really great look to it. Real nice lighting. It's a really cool world to just be in and walk around. I really like that stuff. It's got kind of a surprising amount of voice acting to me. Where man, there's so much of this that's voiced. Both in English and Japanese, if you whichever you prefer.
It says there's dialogue from Star Ocean Second Evolution 2008 that can also be selected.
Yeah, I think that's another remake of this game that where they did a different voice track.
Seems like they put a good deal of love into making this version of the game.
I got it playing behind us right now, too, by the way.
Nice. Yeah. Music too. You can go and get the old track from the original game, or you kind of the more orchestral version of this. Oh, right. I saw her now. I have a third party member, kind of. She's called a guest character right now, but she's
okay.
I just got her, and I'm about to go into a cave. But yeah, I think it's got a really great look. Really great.
It looks
sound.
really fucking cool.
It plays pretty well. I do really like this. It's this enemy link thing. So if you're on the overworld and you get some enemies' attention and they bunch up, then it gets this little red line that connects them. And then when you go in, you're actually fighting waves of enemies, and you get much bigger XP rewards when you do it. It like gives you a multiplier of
very cool
rewards. So if you're trying to grind, like I remember playing like Bravely Default and really liking Bravely Default because I could, in the overworld, turn down the amount of random encounters to 0 if I just wanted to walk back to town and not get bothered.
Sure.
Or I could move it up to like 200% so I could just do a bunch of grinding really, really quickly. And I found that really nice. And this is kind of a similar way. If I want to just get to the next town, I can just avoid enemies and run right to the next town. But if I'm like, I'm here to grind, let's get some enemies pissed off, and then I can fight them all in one big bunch.
Sure.
It's just a really nice quality of life feature.
I think it's cool. I know that look on Johnny's face. I know exactly what that look is on Johnny's face. I know exactly what he's doing. He's looking for coupons right now on Green Man Gaming and other places.
Nope, not doing it.
And he's trying to justify making this purchase right now. I can
not.
tell.
I have no.
I'll tell you that I'm having a really good time with it so far. Again, I'm very early, but I did play through the first one a couple of years ago, the first one remake, First Departure R, and had a really good time with it.
Oh yeah.
And this one seems like it's kind of nestling right into that. But I will say it does feel like it's adding, it's mixing the thing I mentioned before is that Star Ocean has this kind of mix between spacey stuff and fantasy elements, and the first game has a lot of space at the very beginning and then throws you into a fantasy world and forgets about the space stuff. And you go, what the fuck happened? What? That doesn't make any fucking sense. And this game is starting in a similar way, but I know it brings in much more of those sci-fi elements as the game continues.
It's cool, man. It's
okay.
I am genuinely interested in this game after hearing you talk about it. Like, I was kind of writing them. I'm like, oh, it's another one of those games. Not trying to be a dick, but like,
yeah, no, I get you.
And when hearing you talk about it, and I was like, oh shit, this actually sounds really fucking cool. Like,
yeah,
if I didn't have so much going on right now, I'd probably pick it up.
Yeah, I think it is cool.
95% on Steam right now with 6,400 reviews.
And Star Ocean 2, the original, was a very well-loved game as well. So I'm not surprised that this one continues to be good, but it seems like they've added a lot to it to make it even better.
Nice.
So I will be playing more of that. The problem is I started another RPG that has been taking up even more time, and that is Wasteland 3.
Fuck yeah.
A game that landed on my backlog roulette for the month of November. And I decided to just get started with that, and I think that game is pretty cool. I'm having a pretty good time with that. So it is. I mean, you both know because you both have played this game. This was new to me. I've had it. I've owned it for a very long time.
Yes,
but I just hadn't started playing it yet. Which the backlog wheel is meant to fix. And
the backlog gets what it wants.
Nature is healing.
The backlog waits for no one.
So for those who don't know, it is an original Fallout kind of game. So it's got that isometric view, and you're walking around a wasteland. A thing happened. It sounds like some robots did some bad shit to the world a long time ago, and everything's fucked.
Tales all this time, man.
You're a group of rangers who are from Arizona, and you are. You've got this guy in Colorado called the Patriarch who is going to help you out. And you guys are the Rangers, I guess, or have fallen on some hard times and really need this handout. And the Patriarch's like, hey, come up to Colorado, help me out with one thing, and then I'll get you all the food and fuel and shit you need. No problem.
Yep.
It doesn't go great.
No.
And you're kind of the last two Rangers. And what I really like about this game is it really lets you role play from the very beginning. It has a handful of options of what you want these two characters to be, with some backgrounds of, hey, this is a father-daughter. These are two lovers. These are two punk rockin' rangers who just love punk rock so much. So you can pick between any of these groups, or you can say, yeah, fuck that. I want to make my own characters. And I decided, fuck that. I want to make my own characters.
That's the way to do it, baby.
Yep.
So I made one guy who's kind of more of an automatic weapons guy, and you get to fully build these in a very D&D style way of, choosing their strength and their charisma and that kind of stuff, giving them perks in a similar way to a Fallout. They have attribute points that you're putting into a bunch of different skills. I think the skills are pretty interesting. Some of them are pretty standard, where it's like, oh, I've got this guy into automatic weapons, and then my lady, she's a sniper. And so those, but then there's also, hey, do you want to be able to like talk to animals? Like, yeah, fuck yeah, I do. That sounds great. Do you want to get into toaster repair, which seems to be their silly gimmick one that I assume is really broken if you completely put your points into that, because I found broken toasters around the world, and it sounds like if you do enough where you fix those, you get something that
yes, that is, yeah, yes.
So it has a bunch of cool options there, and I feel like I made a couple characters that I really liked. I've been naming them after Romance of the Three Kingdoms characters because that's just in my head right now.
Got a Lu Bu in there?
I don't have a Lu Bu yet. I have a Liu Bei and a Zhang Fei. I'm going with the Shu guys right now, but I'll keep adding more as we go. It seems cool. There are a couple of problems that I'm having with. I think the camera is angled just a little too high, where it's hard to see some stuff, and you can back out with the right stick. I'm playing this on a PlayStation, so I'm on a controller. But you can back out and zoom out a little bit with the right stick, but I just kind of want it tilted down just a little bit so I could see a little bit more of what's in front of me. My characters seem to be great at walking directly into the mines.
You're playing on your PlayStation. I think that supports a mouse and keyboard.
It probably does. The bigger problem is less the mouse and keyboard, and it's just playing it on a television from a couch.
Yeah.
So the game does, thankfully and very nicely, it does have text options where you can make the text bigger to make it more readable on a television. But I think this was a game that was certainly developed with PC in mind.
Yeah, for sure.
I think
for sure.
a lot of just like the moment to moment issues of like, can I really see that guy? And like, I can't tell exactly what that is. And I don't know what that inventory item is because it's so small on the screen. I think some of that would just be eliminated by having it directly in front of me instead of being, only a few feet away. And I have a relatively large TV. It's right here. It's a pretty decent sized television. But just the characters are small enough. The screen real estate is kind of at a premium that it's just a little tough to grok all of it from a couch.
I get it, man.
But even still, I'm having a good time with it. It does have some pretty solid writing. Some of it's funny, some of it's a little silly. Of hey, here are some snowballs. You can pee on the snowballs, and you can pick up the yellow snowballs, and then you can craft those yellow snowballs into a big bomb.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, there's something kind of stupid. I found a frozen ferret launcher.
Hell yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? But for the most part, I'm having a good time making a big squad. I'm up to 5 people in my squad, which honestly feels like too fucking many.
Yeah, you can get a lot.
And it looks like there's even a 6th slot
Mm-hmm.
that I haven't filled yet. But and you can customize those characters. I could make a fully custom team. But there are some kind of story-based characters that have a few more lines of dialogue. Like one guy was in this other group called the Marshals in Colorado, so he's got a lot of dialogue because he knows the lay of the land. He talks to a lot of people, whereas Zhang Fei doesn't because he's just a dude.
He's just Zhang Fei.
Yeah,
nice, man.
But yeah,
I'm excited to hear more.
Yeah, I've put probably 5, 6, maybe 7 hours into it so far. I don't feel like I've really accomplished a lot. I'm still kind of getting on my feet and exploring a lot of the first town. I did explore once and went to like the overworld area that you were talking about, Bobby, where you have like the vehicle and going through. And the vehicle seems pretty good.
It's a good time, man.
It's just like an extra attacker.
Yep.
But I have yet to go start any of the real missions. I've done some of the like starter missions in town. Like I went to Little Vegas, which is a casino that a guy from Las Vegas who fled to Colorado, he started himself, and I'm gonna say didn't go well for him.
No.
Ended a little bit badly, but you know what? He had 2 pretty good submachine guns on him, and those are mine now.
Nice, man.
But
cool to hear.
The one I'm excited to go to is the one that Bobby is also excited for me to go to, which is the people who worship Ronald Reagan despite being so removed from even knowing anything about
it's so
Ronald
good. It's so good.
They're called the Gippers, and
Dude,
I'm very much looking forward.
You got to
to
get to the Gippers.
What's up with them? So that stuff seems pretty good.
Get them to the Gippers. The follow-up to get them to the Greek.
I'll be right back. I have to go tuck my son into bed.
Okay.
Sounds good. So I'm gonna keep playing that and having a good time with it. But there is a little part of me that's like, man, this is keeping me from playing Star Ocean. And I think
well,
Star Ocean is really cool too, but they're both just really good games.
Just do what I do. Put a game that's going to be mobile only for you, and like, hey, if I'm out of my office, I'm playing Star Ocean on the couch, and then if I'm upstairs, I'm playing that.
Yeah, that's fair. And we got the holidays coming up, and I'm not taking my PS5 with me for that, but I will take my Switch. So that's maybe a time where I'll get to play more Star Ocean, and I can, for now, just focus on Wasteland 3 because I have been having a good time. That's it's fun to put more. It's fun to just put points into things like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be my lock picking guy. I'm gonna put all my lock picking in him, and I'm just picking all these fucking locks. It's great. Look at all this shit I found.
All right. Well, we don't have a ton of time for the news, Johnny. Why don't we get through what we can and we'll wrap it up.
All right. I think probably the biggest quote unquote story here is probably the fact that we're going to get a first official look at Grand Theft Auto 6. Rockstar came out today and said there is a trailer coming out next month. I saw
early next month.
I saw lots of good memes about Jeff Keighley begging Rockstar to let him show it at the Game Awards. Rockstar usually just does their own thing.
Yeah,
so
doesn't need Rockstar.
They don't need anybody.
They don't need Jeff Keighley.
They could put this thing on fucking X and people would sign back up for Elon shit.
What do we know about this? They haven't mentioned
anything,
right? We don't.
It's going to have a female protagonist, rumored to be Vice City.
Okay.
But modern.
Officially, we don't know much of anything, but there was, I think it was a Slack leak or something.
It was a big fucking deal.
Someone stole a bunch of internal
not good
videos and things of like in development footage. But this will be Rockstar themselves showing us the game. And look, 5 is probably my least favorite in the series. I love most of the games that Rockstar has put out, so I'm eager to see what this is. I just hope that they have their style of game has evolved a bit since Red Dead 2.
I don't know, man. I have you heard the rumor about the price?
$80?
No. Like, I think this thing is going to be a 3-figure video game for a standard edition.
What?
They're
$100?
At this point, that seems like that game should just be free to play, right? Like, because it seems like they get more money from GTA Online.
There's some rumors that it's going to be $100 video game.
That's going to be the really interesting thing. Is there's just GTA Online 2 or what? Anyway, all will be revealed later on.
I'm interested in seeing what that is. Like, you've had people talk about how can you have a GTA game? The world is too much of a parody to make parodies of these days.
Yeah, and this is the first one that Dan Houser isn't the lead writer on. So it's just it will be interesting just because it will be like the first time that they've made a game without those people.
Yeah,
and since their that big expose that Jason Schreier wrote about Crunch and all that stuff. So we'll see. Bungie has been in the news as well. They laid off around 100 staffers, and they also pushed back the Final Shape DLC to June of next year, and then the upcoming marathon was pushed back an entire year. So it sounds like mid 2024, and then sometime in 2025 is when we'll expect to see.
There was some reporting about Marathon where they brought in some streamers who played more of those extraction shooters like Escape from Tarkov, and kind of told those streamers like, hey, this is a pretty early build, but like, what do you guys think? Like, if this came out tomorrow, would you play it? And they were like, no, it's not ready for that yet. And they're like, yeah, we know. But yeah, it sounds like that game certainly needs to be cooked more. And then Destiny's in a weird place. Like Lightfall was a time where everybody was jumping back in. Pre-orders for Lightfall were some of the biggest they've had ever. You guys even came back for Lightfall.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, it was pretty big. It was a pretty big deal. And then Lightfall was just such a bummer to so many people, and this whole year of content has kind of been a bummer. They've had some good moments, but it has been
It's
mostly
just
rocky.
ebbs and flows, and
it
such
does,
a
but this is a big ebb.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's also it just like this has been the games continue to make so much money, and yet we've had so many layoffs that have happened this year in the industry. It just makes you wonder, like, where's all that going?
Yeah.
Like, why? Anyway,
It
can you
it
not
doesn't.
have 1 or 2 bad quarters without? Oh, we need to throw some people out to keep the shareholders happy.
Yeah, it's not meant to make you feel better, but almost all of the staff members they did drop were not developers. They were in marketing or community and things like that, which
Maybe
still sucks. But like the people who
maybe
are
things that Sony
making
will handle for
Destiny are
them.
still
Yeah,
maybe, yeah. There was talk around like, hey, remember when Sony gave you all that fucking money and like a big part of it was earmarked for employee retention?
yeah.
And they're like, yeah, man, we burned through all that. Like
Burn
a lot
through.
of apparently, like a lot of it was like buying out shares of Bungie from the people to like have it more
Oh,
like have Sony
They
own
also
more of it.
share that they missed expectations by 45%.
Right, their
Yeah.
revenue for this year is down much more than they thought it would be, and apparently those numbers were not bonkers numbers. Like people, some people were speculating like, oh, well, maybe they just were wildly off on their expectations, and then some other people went like, no, they were kind of normal expectations, and they just didn't meet them. Yeah, it's a weird time. They do have another season coming out. So Final Shape is the next big expansion, and that comes out next year, and that's what they got pushed back. But this next season, which is the final season, it's like the final season of this seasonal model because Final Shape was going to change the way they set up the way that the game plays. This last season is coming out on November 28th, like people said. It's got a name now. They just announced it. It is the season of the Wish. So in one of the raids, there's like this big wish wall, and there were 14 wishes that people knew how to like plug in and could do things and go to different parts and unlock different things. But there was a rumored 15th wish that nobody knew what it did. And now we have just learned what this wish is, and that's going to be what's going to go into this next season. Apparently, like there was a big puzzle, and people found an egg, and this egg is like for one of the Ahamkaras, which is kind of like one of these weird wish dragons.
Oh, it's the ability from Dragon Ball.
Shinron? Is it Shinron?
Sure, yeah, sure. But that's like one of the things you fought in one of the raids. Anyway, so we'll see exactly what that is. But that season is going to last much longer than originally thought. Now it's going to last 6 months, where it was only.
It's going for the Halo length.
It will be interesting to see what happens with Destiny. As always. So X, have you heard of it? Formerly known as Twitter.
Unfortunately,
the greatest and most successful rebranding in history.
Oh, they just put out their AI too, which is a rousing success. Everyone
so Sony says no thank you to Elon Musk creating a social media platform, and what that means is starting on November 13th of this year, interactions with the app formerly known as Twitter will no longer function on PS5 and 4.
Your screenshots directly to Twitter and things like that. Did Sony actually give an announcement being like, "Hey, we just don't want to be associated with this anymore"?
It was some notification within the OS itself that I saw.
Yeah, I saw that one of like we're just not.
I think the APIs was causing people to say no.
Okay. So that's probably more of an Elon thing than
so,
Sony going.
Don't worry.
Part of this
he says, "I will look into this."
Of course, he will. Okay. Good.
X is aiming to become a major streaming platform, but this will be less convenient for console players now that Xbox and PlayStation integration is gone.
I have not really taken advantage of that integration, so that's okay.
He's the worst businessman.
He
really is. Yep. He was tweeting, Xing, posting, whatever, about like community notes, and you get sucked in a little bit where you see that, and he's like, oh, that kind of makes a little bit of sense, and then like somebody immediately like tells you why he's really doing it. You go, oh, right, because he's a piece of shit. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's gonna do what he does.
Lastly, rounding out the news here, Fortnite reverted back to their original map, and hey, what do you know? Turns out Fortnite's been around long enough that people are nostalgic for that first map.
How long has it been out now?
2016,
7
right?
years. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And 44.7 million players jumped in, playing 102 million hours. Bonkers.
Yeah, I mean they're calling it Fortnite OG.
Yep.
For any of the olds out there, that means original. Just so
yeah.
So you know.
I'm not surprised in the slightest.
I mean, we saw this exact thing happen with WoW. Like they announced WoW Classic. A bunch of people went like, "Oh yeah, hey, remember when WoW was fun?" And they went back to it, and I think it still has a pretty thriving user base.
The last I read, I think they were about to release Lich King. So they've
that's the thing that's wild to me,
which is the third expansion
with WoW Classic. Where do you stop? Because when does it stop being classic and when does it start being modern? Well,
I mean, think about it, man. That game came out.
I mean, what's the deal? What's the deal with WoW Classic?
Right, but but if I'm a person who's going to play WoW Classic, I'm going for a certain vibe. And if you keep adding in the things I
think that they're separate. I think they're siloed. Maybe I don't know.
I don't either. We'd have to get an expert. We know a couple, but...
last time I played WoW was when Lich King was new. So, like 2006.
Last time I played WoW was before. What was the expansion with Blood Elves? It was the first one.
Last time I played WoW was never.
Fair. You got me.
Burning
Crusade. Yes, Burning Crusade.
That's where I jumped in. I bought a copy of WoW at the game store that I went to when I pre-ordered my Wii.
So did Epic or Fortnite say, "Hey, this is going to be"? Is this like a limited time thing?
Yeah, it's just the new season.
Yeah,
this
is
the new season. Is hey, we went back to the old season. I see.
Well, I don't know. Tim Sweeney might be like, well, I don't know. Maybe we should.
What a fucking tool. We've got a big show for you. You guys, thank you so much. There were some fun games we played this week. We cut down the news a little bit here, but we've got some shit for you to watch right now. If you want to follow along with all the stuff that we do, you can do so by going to that link right there in chat. We did a really cool a Casual Monday. We got to check out an early release of Typecast, a game that is available right now on Steam. It is wild. Go watch the VOD on that. We'll talk more about that game next week.
$5, right?
$5. This is episode 350. We have a quick look up for Chance of Sinar, and we also have a quick look going up for Jusant.
20% off, so it's only $4.
Hell yeah, buy it. And a quick adjustment to our schedule. I did not know that Roboquest was going to be good, or if Chase would be able to join me on Friday because Johnny will be gone. But with Chase coming, I wanted to show him Roboquest and maybe play it if he's down for it. So we'll be checking that game out on Friday night while Johnny is away. Chase, what about you? What do you got going on?
A couple things. I've got a YouTube channel, Chase K Plays. You can find that on the link tree right there. I just finished SteamWorld Heist. The thing I made was called Cowbots and Aluminum. That series is done. Beat it. It's great.
Good.
God, what a good fucking video game. So now it's time to move on to the next thing, and the next thing has been decided. It's called Stadium Brats. Brats? It's Brats. It's Brats. But it's a play on words. I'm playing Pokemon Stadium, the original Nintendo 64 Pokemon Stadium.
There you go.
I'm playing the Nintendo Switch Online version, which doesn't allow you to transfer Pokemon in, so it's just the vanilla fucking game, and all I can use are rental Pokemon, which I think is fascinating to try to use whatever Pokemon are in there with whatever move sets are standard and set in there, and try to beat all the different cups and the gym leader challenge. So I'm going to be doing that for a while. We'll see how long it goes or how long it takes. But I'm hoping with this one to bring in some more friends, maybe Bobby, maybe Johnny,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a couple of other good friends of our show and my stuff. Because it's just playing Pokemon more or less, and people might talk about some Pokemon nostalgia and talk about battling stuff, and it'll be fun. So come join us. It has some awesome art done by my good friend and yours, Bobby Pease. It's really good. You're gonna have to check out the thumbnail for it. It's really
pretty good.
And the first episode comes out this Friday at 2 p.m. Central. I'll post about it on my socials. But yeah, exciting stuff. I'm really excited to get to it. It was between that or Pokemon trading card game, and Bobby and I have been playing Pokemon trading card game on Casual Mondays, so that opened the door for Pokemon Stadium, which I'm super jazzed about. I think that'll be great.
Awesome. That's been episode 350. Thank you all so much for hanging out. We'll see you all soon.